Hey everyone, it's Ben, and today we're going to take a look at the MSR Mesh House and the MSR Wing 70. Stick with me, you're watching Living Survival. So if you're into backpacking or hiking long distances, you know that going light is a big advantage. Now typically as you go lighter in weight and still maintain quality construction and quality materials, the price does go up. The MSR Mesh House, however, does combine those ultralight features and same quality features at a fairly affordable price. I recently did a 23-mile hike on the North Country Trail in Manistee River Loop up in northern Michigan, and I took the Mesh House. It was great to have such a lightweight yet quality shelter with me on that trip. Now this is the Thru Hiker Mesh House 2 from MSR, and you can see it comes in a very small stuff sack. It's very lightweight, weighing in at 14 ounces if you subtract the guy lines from it. You do need trekking poles to set this up. However, on long distance hike, I always have trekking poles, so that's one of the ways you're going to be able to save weight. Packed weight with everything, including the lines and the stuff sack, comes in at 1 pound 2 ounces. So not the most ultralight that you can find out there, but this one has some features that I didn't want to go without. The other product I'm going to show you today is the MSR Thru Hiker 70 Wing. This is basically the tarp that goes over the top, and it works with, it integrates with the Mesh House with the way that it hooks to the trekking poles. Weight on this one is packed at 1 pound or a minimum trail weight without the guy lines. Again, comes in at 12 ounces. So between the two, you've got just over 2 pounds worth of weight. Again, not the most ultralight that you can find out there, but I think you're going to agree you get some of the same features that you would have with a full featured tent with this lightweight setup. So the Mesh House is super simple to set up, and it's got enough room for 2 people. I had plenty of room by myself for my pad, my sleeping bag, and my gear, but 2 people would fit in this as well. And again, you don't bring any sort of tent poles. You're using your hiking poles, which I always use on long distance hikes or backpacking trips as well. Now I did forget to mention that you do get 6 stakes. 4 stakes for the perimeter of the shelter, and then 2 stakes for your tie outs on your trekking poles. All I did was just loop around the string around my trekking pole. There is an adjustment here so that you can adjust how close or how far you want your trekking pole to the actual shelter, and then you just stake it down to the ground, and then you adjust the height of your trekking pole so that you get a nice taut ridge line on your shelter. Now if you wanted to go even lighter, you could sacrifice your trekking poles and just tie this out to 2 trees, creating sort of an A-frame shelter. That would work as well. What you're gaining a little bit of weight back from a super ultralight setup is the floor, which is a 15D ripstop. You could put a ground sheet underneath, which I would actually recommend if you're on any surface except a soft surface. I was on sort of a pine needle surface, and I did have a few sticks that I was sort of worried about poking up because I did not bring a footprint on the trip with me. I do have the included footprint with this. They do sell it separately, and I would recommend it if you're on rocky or you know, pokey terrain. But again, you could sacrifice the trekking poles and make it lighter weight, and you could go with just a, you know, bug net shelter itself, one of those bug nets that just drapes over the ground. But again, I wanted a little bit nicer setup and something that I knew would keep the bugs out, especially being here in Michigan. So other features that I really like about the Mesh House is that you have these stand-up corners. The way that you stake these out, the corners actually stand up, and it gives you that raised bathtub floor, which is really nice. The bathtub floor, of course, goes all around the entire shelter. You have those stand-up corners at all 4 corners. The shelter has this high quality mesh, which is going to keep the bugs out. And then of course, on a nicer day, you could set it up just like this and stare up at the stars all night. The back of the shelter has a privacy wall, so you could set that up according to where you didn't want people to be able to see in. What I do is I set it up towards the wind so that it does cut down the wind somewhat, and if it were to rain, it's going to prevent that rain from coming through the end there. It is DWR treated, both the floor and the side there, so it's going to repel the water pretty well anyway. And then on the other side here, you have your access door. It does zip all the way along the bottom and then all the way up the one side. Across the top, you do have a sewn on ridge line, which is nice. Then you have a line lock adjuster here, which allows you to adjust the distance and the height of your trekking pole so that you can get a nice taut setup with your Mesh House. So I wanted to show you how much room you get in the mesh house. It's plenty of room for one person. As you can see, I have a full-size sleeping bag and a full-size pad in there, and you could easily get 2 of those side by side. Very comfortable, very roomy. You got enough head height there to sit up. So overall, I'm really impressed with the quality and the comfort. The mesh house also comes with high quality YKK number 8 zippers. Also has a toggle here that you can tie back the door so that it's out of your way when you're getting in and out or loading gear. All the seams on the inside are seam taped in the center there, and then in the corners, and then up top at each corner you do have a loop that you could use to hang things from, as well as a loop in the center. So a great item that you can get with the mesh house is the Thru Hiker 70 wing. It's a polysill tarp that works well on its own. As you can see here, I'm just holding it up on either end with my trekking poles. You could also obviously tie it out to the trees. It does have the little clips here that just hook onto the top of your trekking pole, which is really nice. And then the cords all have line locks on them, as well as the tie outs on the side have the small line locks on them. Again, 6 of the minimalist stakes come with that. There is 2 extra tie outs here in the center if you really wanted to tie it down. It's pretty windy today, so I have it rigged pretty tight. And depending on how far you place your stakes away from the corners, you can leave it up higher like this, which is still going to shed the rain, but it's going to give you a lot of ventilation on the hotter nights. Or you can snug it right down next to the shelter in a heavy rain, for example, if you didn't want if you didn't want any of that wind to come in sideways through the shelter. So weight wise, the tarp itself is 12 ounces. Once you add the lines and the line locks and the stakes and the stuff sack, you get just over a pound. So again, with the combination, you're just over 2 pounds, which is really lightweight. If you wanted to go even lighter weight, you could go with a full sill nylon tarp instead of a polysill tarp. But again, I went with this one simply because it works well with the mesh house when you get both of them together. So then from the mesh house, you just have a little mitten hook here. You can attach it on the line to the tarp, which I've done. You could attach it to your basket on your trekking pole. You could wrap it around an attachment, attach it, and then you have an adjustment here with the line lock that allows you to raise up the house and keep it well away from the tarp so that it's not going to touch there and create condensation. So just like that, you have a very weatherproof shelter that's still going to give you great ventilation and not going to take up a whole lot of room or weight in your pack. So if you were expecting heavy rain, again, you can move your stakes in closer and really get that tarp down on you. You're still maintaining your gap there from touching the top of the tarp, but with those adjustments, the mini line locks here, makes it super simple to move those stakes in and then tighten them right down. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today, taking a look at the MSR mesh house and the MSR wing 70. They do make a bigger wing, but the 70 works perfect for this 2-person shelter. Now they do make, I believe, a 3-person and maybe even a 4-person mesh house as well. But as you can see, the 2-person is perfect. It's lightweight enough to take backpacking or long distance hiking. It's got plenty of room in there for 2 people or 1 person and a lot of gear. I would recommend getting a footprint using a tarp, or again, if you're going ultralight, maybe use the footprint that they sell for this as well. The floor is only 15D, so it can be punctured fairly easily. I did have it on pine needles and sticks and things, and it was no problem. But if you're on rocky or sharp, pointy terrain, you're certainly going to want to put a footprint down as you would any other shelter. I love the fact that it's lightweight without sacrificing quality. Again, you add a little bit of weight with that bathtub floor, which I really like. The hooks on the inside for hanging things from, and then of course the cordage and the stakes. But you could tie it out to trees if you wanted to save a few ounces with the stakes there. And then again, with the wing 70, I love how it attaches to the trekking poles there and makes the whole setup super simple once you've done it once or twice. I like that you can use it standalone for a super lightweight option when the weather is nice, or just add on that tarp there if you're expecting rain. You could, of course, again, go with a sil nylon, a full sil nylon tarp, and save some ounces that way again. But for me, I like the combo. I like the way it's set up, and just at over 2 pounds, it's still going to be lighter weight than carrying most ultralight tents. I like that it gives you full bug and full rain protection, especially here in Michigan, and I like the fact that with those line locks, it makes it very easy to adjust the tarp, whether you want more ventilation or you want to hunker it right down into storm mode. So all throughout, I feel it's high quality. I feel that it does the job, and it worked great for me on my long hike that I did a few weeks back. If you want to see that video, I will put a link right up here in one of these corners. I believe it's this corner of the video, and so that you guys can go check that hike out over on Living Survival 2. So if you're looking for a lightweight option that isn't going to necessarily break the bank, check out the MSR Mesh House and the MSR Wing 70. I'm going to put some links below to Amazon where you guys can pick this setup or any of the individual components. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Please give it a big thumbs up for me. Make sure you leave me a comment below. Check out Living Survival 2. The link is below in the description. And as always, click subscribe to subscribe for more videos.